Hey everyone, I have some bad news.
Oh, come on, I hate bad news.
Apparently our public relations department has been receiving lots of complaints that we kill off the old man in too many of our skits.
Yeah, so?
Well, we're being accused of ageism, and corporate is threatening to pull our funding if we don't course correct.
Indeed, an accusation, no matter how unfounded, could spell the end for our delightful gaming group. Even though the only reason we keep killing him is just simply because we don't like him?
Can't you tell corporate that it has nothing to do with my age and that it's completely personal?
No, I'm sorry. Henceforth, we are not allowed to kill the old man under any circumstances. Holy crap. You mean he has plot armor?
Plot armor? Like that matters in 5th edition. It's almost impossible to die to begin with. And even if you do die, it is a trivial matter to be raised from the dead. Well, that's because 5th edition was designed to appeal to casual gamers. You know, the soccer moms of RPGs.
Well, I remember that back in my day, not only was dying an everyday occurrence, but...
Hey! What do you mean, soccer moms? My mom plays soccer!
Wait a second, your mom never told me she plays soccer? If I have plot armor, let's try this and see what happens.
Crap! He can't do that!
Indeed, the barbarian was a fan favorite. Our audience will be furious. What are we going to do now?
Yeah, no sense in doing any more skits. Let's just pack it in, boys. Yeah, no more stupid skits.
Vacation time, here I come.
Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and I've been a Dungeon Master since high school. On this channel, I give practical Dungeon Master advice that you can use in your D&D games. Today in the Lair, we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Why monsters should never attack first. Now some of you are going to be going right down to the comments section already to yell at me and tell me why I'm wrong without even listening to what I have to say about the matter. Shoot, I bet some folks did that after only seeing the title and thumbnail. But might I suggest that you hear me out first? Because here's the thing, I've been in many a game where every time we run across an enemy, any enemy, it simply attacks. Crap, I've been in a game where before we even knew there were enemies, the Dungeon Master was asking us to roll initiative. And let me tell you, one-dimensional games like that get really old really fast. Thus, I submit to you that there is a better way to run encounters. But before we jump in, far be it from me not to give a sleazy plug really quick. And today's plug is for Lair Magazine. Lair Magazine is a monthly Dungeon Master resource that I publish to all my patrons. Every issue contains 2 D&D 5th edition adventures complete with maps for use on virtual tabletops and a slew of other DM resources such as magic items, new monsters, puzzles, traps, factions, villains with custom stat blocks, and adventure ideas. Lair Magazine is designed to reduce your prep time and make your D&D game even more awesome. When you become a patron, you immediately get access to 2 issues of Lair Magazine, and then every month you get another issue. Now you can get back issues of Lair Magazine on the DM Lair store, but as a patron you'll also get bonus content every month, such as additional 5e adventures, map packs, and other cool things. So do what all the other cool kids are doing and become a DM Lair patron at the link below.
I should be a cool kid, yeah.
Okay, now to illustrate my point about monsters not attacking first, I'm going to give you 2 versions of an encounter. Same monsters, same players, but 2 different ways it could be run at the game table. The players are going through an underground compound. They go up a flight of stairs, they open a hatch to the daylight above, and exiting the underground compound, they encounter an ogre. The ogre looks down at them.
What are you doing here?
Players look up and they say, "Oh, we were just inspecting the compound here, and something seems to be out of order."
What do you mean something's out of order?
Well, according to our records here, the hobgoblins that you work with have not been giving you your due share of goat.
Not giving me enough goat? I've been hungry.
Yeah, you've been hungry and they haven't been giving you enough goat. But don't worry, we're here to set this matter straight.
Oh, you're gonna set it straight for me?
Yeah, we're gonna help set this matter straight. You're gonna come with us, we're gonna beat the crap out of the hobgoblins, and then we're gonna get you the goat you deserve.
Oh, well, I don't know about this.
And at this point, the players have to make some persuasion and deception checks, and they fail miserably. The ogre doesn't believe them, it swings its club, and it's go time. So you see there was a social interaction with this ogre. Folks got to use special voices, they got to use diplomacy, they got to try a clever idea for tricking that ogre into going along with them and helping them. Maybe it would have worked. In this case, it didn't work, and the monster attacked them. But the point is that all of the players got to engage with that encounter in a variety of ways. Some used diplomacy, others used trickery. The group got to experience a social interaction, but at the end, a combat broke out, and that's the way it ended. You see, this way, the encounter appealed to a variety of player types and play styles. Everyone got to engage with that encounter in a way that they wanted to. Scenario number 2, the players are exploring that underground compound. They come up that flight of stairs, they open the hatch, come into the daylight above, and the ogre, glowering down at them, swings its club down at their heads. No opportunity to do any talkie-talkie, to try to deceive the ogre, to have a social interaction, nothing, just immediate combat. The players did not get to engage with that encounter in any other way than simply fighting that ogre. It did not appeal to a variety of playstyles. It only appealed to players who like combat. Furthermore, the Dungeon Master took the choice out of the players' hands. He didn't let them choose how to approach that encounter. He forced a combat on them. This is, in a way, taking agency away from players, though not really, just kind of. Don't yell at me in the comments, okay? I get that a Dungeon Master can decide how to roleplay his own enemies, and it isn't really taking agency away. Just can feel like it. It feels like you're forcing them down a certain path toward combat. So yell at me a little bit, but not too much. But it is making the players play the game in the way the DM wants them to play that game, and it doesn't give them any choices. Now, there's nothing wrong with monsters that simply attack. I want to be very clear about this. Sometimes that is the only logical way to roleplay them. However, if the entire game is only full of enemies that always just attack, it makes it a far less enjoyable game for many players. You want to build your adventures and games with elements that appeal to a variety of player types. Exploration, social interactions, and combat. These are the classic elements of D&D and most RPGs for that matter. And the same is true for encounters. When you build encounters, you want to do the same thing. Strive to make encounters that can satisfy both social interaction and combat needs of your players. So how do you do this? Think about the enemy motives. Why are the bugbears there? Do they really want to risk their necks? Or would they be okay with scaring the PCs off or intimidating them? Or maybe the bugbears think that they can get points with the boss if they convince the characters to join their pirate association. Create your bad guys with more depth than just simply stat blocks that attack. That's unimaginative, and it gives no depth to the gameplay, and it can ultimately turn into a hack and slash game where the players just murderize everything in their path. Yes, such a game might appeal to some groups of players, but I would argue that the majority of players are going to look for something more meaningful in D&D and other RPGs than just that. When I commissioned writers to create adventures for Lair magazine, this is the sort of depth to enemies and opportunities for social interactions instead of just killing everything that I'm looking for in my writers. For example, The Temple of Two Dragons, written by Zack is coming out in the July issue of Lair magazine, and it features enemies who are typically just bad guys who attack, namely chromatic dragons, that are far cooler and lead to more enjoyable game experience expressly because they do not just attack. Now, The Temple of Two Dragons will be in tier 3 of the July issue, which comes out in about a week. So if you're interested and would like to become a patron and snatch it up, there's a link below to my Patreon page. Sleazy plug mid-video right there. Now, here's the thing. We know that many encounters will evolve into combat eventually, but at least give your players the opportunity to resolve the encounter in a different manner if they want to. Let your players make that choice. Try to force a combat on them as seldom as possible, and only when there is no other logical choice for role-playing the monsters. Many of the best encounters in my games have happened when the monsters did not attack first, but instead I allowed the players to talk with them. Now in the example at the very beginning of the ogre, that actually happened in one of my gaming groups. But the way it played out in my gaming group is the players convinced the ogre to fight on their side. They convinced the ogre that the hobgoblins were not giving the ogre his fair share of goat flank. The ogre helped them defeat all of the hobgoblins, and then at the very end, my players led the ogre up to the top of a tower, created the illusion of a flank of goat hanging in the air over the side of the tower, and convinced the ogre to jump at it, falling some 30 feet or so, smoking himself on the ground, at which point my players went all around him and, pummeled him to death with their weapons. And that encounter was amazing fun for us. We all loved it. Why? Because the ogre didn't attack first. Because there was the opportunity to talk with him, to deceive him, to do something different than just fight it. Another amazing story of what can happen when you don't just attack first happened with my Hand of Light group. Actually, I think that might have been Manus Invictus by that point. They were about to be attacked by a group of Yugoloths, and I had declared that the Yugoloths were attacking, but one of my players asked me, he stopped me as I was saying the Yugoloths were just going to attack. He said, "Really, Luke? They're just going to attack? We don't have an opportunity to talk to them at all?" And I stopped, and I recognized that Ben was right, that I should give them an opportunity to talk to the Yugoloths. And so I did. And then something amazing happened. One of the other players, Matt, started to negotiate with the Yugoloths, and he tried to bribe them off so that they wouldn't have to fight them. Yugoloths are the consummate mercenaries, and they will absolutely accept money to not to have to fight. Money's what they want. So the Yugoloth that was facing off against Matt's character asked him, "Well, how much are you gonna give me not to fight you?" And Matt just said 20,000 gold pieces, which was an insane amount of money. The Yugoloths agreed. Matt gave them the money, and the Yugoloths left, and they didn't have to fight them. And I'll tell you what, that was amazing. Him giving them 20,000 gold pieces, an incredible amount of money to not have to fight. The rest of the players just berated him constantly over the course of the entire rest of the campaign about the 20,000 gold pieces that he gave to the Yugoloths. At every opportunity, we brought up the 20,000 gold pieces. In a kind, joking sort of way. We weren't being mean to him. It was the jovial, cool, elbowing your buddy sort of thing. But that would have never happened. It would have never happened if I would have just had the Yugoloths attack. If my other player, Ben, hadn't stopped me and said, "Really, Luke? They just attack?" Remember, if you are a dungeon master looking to reduce your prep time and improve the quality of your games, Lair magazine might be exactly what you need. Each issue contains 2 complete 5th edition adventures and a slew of other Dungeon Master resources you can use in your games. Click that link to my Patreon page down below where you can immediately get access to the last 2 issues of Lair magazine when you become a patron. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitch where I have live streams every week and answer your questions about dungeon mastering. If you thought the argument I made for not having monsters attack out of the gate for every single encounter was okay-ish, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm down below. Let YouTube know that I don't completely suck. And until next time, attack! Or don't.